All right, we're back. Level Up Grappling Podcast. Coach Brian here, straight out of PCI Jiu-Jitsu, Mission Viejo, California. All right, we've got some interesting stuff to talk about. So philosophically, I do want to talk about something that I think is very critical in terms of getting people to understand their abilities to develop deeper grappling. And what that is learning how to hybridize. And so what I mean by that, we touched upon this on a previous episode when we were talking about the UFC post-fight analysis and how important it was to, when you're watching something, when you're studying, to put things in a simplified format where learn boxing from an expert boxing coach, learn wrestling from an expert wrestling coach, learn each style and then learn how to blend it together. So I really want to explore today how we do that also with grappling, because we have the ability to learn from amazing coaches in different styles of grappling. And I don't think it has to be isolated. And I've really been considering this a lot, where it never has to be an us or them thing. And I think that, just to call them out, it was the Gracies that started this nonsense where it's an us or them type of mentality versus actually learning how to absorb different styles. Because if you look at old submission wrestling styles from the ancient world, everybody cross-pollinated. You see that in Sambo, you see that in Judo, you see that in every style where there's this cross-pollination of learning. And it was really the Gracies that said, no, it's just our style or no style. And then you see over time now, Jiu-Jitsu is absorbing influences, but, as we have discussed before, they still just call it Jiu-Jitsu. So I really want to explore today, what are the benefits of hybridizing your style from learning techniques from different people and different experts, like learning Judo, learning Sambo, learning Greco, learning freestyle, learning catch, whatever the hell catch is, learning Jiu-Jitsu from, that Newaza guard perspective. And really, when I'm focusing on Jiu-Jitsu and when I look at Jiu-Jitsu, I'm really describing that as active guard play. Okay? That's what I'm thinking is active guard play. Because when we look at grappling as a whole and submission grappling in general, the most active guard players are the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys. There is no other style where guys are using the quote-unquote guard or the body scissors that actively, where they're just willfully staying on their back. Okay, so this is something I'd like to explore with you guys today and really kind of figure out what are we doing here, and how do we help develop on a more consistent format, so we don't make it like that Gracie mentality of us versus them, but more, how do we level ourselves up as a complete grappler? Because personally, I don't feel that any one style is a complete style. So I'll just kind of go around here, because this is what we've talked about it before. Adam and I were kind of talking about it at length the other night. So just because of that, Adam, I'll start with you, because you had a very interesting take on it, and then we'll just kind of go around the room here.
Interesting take. I don't know whether it's interesting or not. It's a personal take. I sort of go, there is shortcomings in everything. Yeah, but there's also cross-pollination already done for you. To sit there and go, you can only do jiu-jitsu, while in the same breath, jiu-jitsu is taking wrestling holds, wrestling takedowns, judo throws, and calling it jiu-jitsu. They don't do it themselves. It's a fallacy that jiu-jitsu is pure and jiu-jitsu doesn't take anything. I mean, jiu-jitsu itself was founded on judo. Yeah, we know this. The guard, they say they invented the guard. I personally know from experience, my judo coach taught me guard. It was called omotegatami, bottom control. Whether they fought for it or not, they didn't play the entire game from there, but it was part of judo. All of it is jiu-jitsu is judo. Judo is wrestling, or old school jiu-jitsu. All these things are mixed, okay? Sambo comes directly from judo, mixed with wrestling. All these things are mixed. Even nowadays, jiu-jitsu people are starting to call holds by the Japanese names that are used in judo. The whole pure Gracie jiu-jitsu thing is long gone. Yeah, that finished a long time ago. As soon as they started getting taken down by good wrestlers, they learned how to defend a double leg and do a double leg. Yeah, it's plain and simple. As soon as there was no gi, they started learning freestyle wrestling. They assimilate this information. They know that hybridizing, utilizing different techniques from different areas is a good thing. They just do it under the guise of jiu-jitsu and call it all jiu-jitsu. I'm personally myself, I have several grappling qualifications, black belts, whatever you want to call it. I will literally utilize those things automatically when I'm fighting or competing. When I teach them separately out of respect for each art. That's just me. It's a personal preference. I like to teach everything individually. This is a jiu-jitsu class. This is a wrestling practice. This is a judo session. This is a sambo session, etc., etc. When we compete and roll, all my guys will get the whole do whatever you want. Whatever you know, do it. Yeah, that's the mentality. It has to happen at some point because even if you are a jiu-jitsu purist, you're already doing it.
Where do you think the line is drawn? Like, to what degree do you think somebody should be studying? Because I understand what you're saying, that there's that cross-pollination in the influence, but how much would it actually help further if I'm, say, a jiu-jitsu competitor, I call myself a jiu-jitsu competitor, would it help me to go to a freestyle coach or a Greco coach to learn that type of stand-up grappling?
Of course it would. If I'm competing no-gi, I'm going to want to go and learn freestyle wrestling. I'm going to want to go and learn Greco wrestling. If I'm competing in a gi, I'm going to want to do a judo class or a sambo class. They directly correlate. If I'm wearing a gi and I compete jiu-jitsu in a gi, there's not really much point in going and doing a lot of freestyle wrestling if I'm constantly competing in a gi. I'd be far better off competing and learning how to throw and take down in a gi, judo or sambo. If I do no gi predominantly, of course I'd be going to freestyle wrestling. It's just common sense that says this is the things that we do. These are the experts in that area where we lack. That's where I need to train. It's the same we talked about with the MMA. If I want to learn to box, I don't go to an MMA gym, I go to a boxing gym. It's the same thing.
It makes sense. Less thoughts?
You had to ask. So, if you think about it, the word hybrid or to hybridize is it's an irony, you know. So the reason that I did the IHWA, you know, International Hybrid Wrestling Associations, because it brings all styles of wrestling together. So, you know, you got folk style, Greco, catch, and freestyle. So if you think back, the only thing that creates styles is rule sets. So if you're competing in a rule set, you'll find that style, you know, like, you know, Adam's saying with regards to if you're competing in a gi, you're going to do judo or jiu-jitsu, which is, you know, fair enough. So, you know, going back to the Olympics, moving from pancration and changing it to, again, Greco and then changing it to freestyle, it's exactly the same kind of principle. So, you know, all wrestling to begin with was that it wasn't separate. It wasn't, but it wasn't hybridized because it was an initial and an original system. You know, I mean, it came from India. Before there, it was in China, Shaolin. I mean, you know, a lot of people think that Shaolin is a bunch of bald dudes with very little hair, like sitting on spears and doing all this like crazy stuff, whacking each other in the nuts and doing what they do. Okay, so yeah, so the reason that happened was because obviously the scrolls in Shaolin were burned, but all the remaining ones, or kind of what's left, if you look at the scrolls, if you look at them, they're not punching and kicking. They're not doing wushu. They're doing wrestling. They're doing double legs. They're doing singles. They're moving from position to position. So all these things that probably Bodhidharma was doing when he was chilling at Shaolin, he was like probably, say watching bears fight. You see bears fight, they're wrestling. They're doing duck unders, they're doing singles, they're doing doubles, ankle picks. Gorillas the same thing. When birds fight, it's very similar. If you slow two cats down fighting, man, they're pulling guard left, right, and center. So it's all this stuff comes from an original system of movement. So it ceases to be style. It just comes from the movement of a human being having to go toe to toe. And fortunately, because of our mental capacity, we can document this. And then once it's documented, we can say, okay, well, this animal style and that animal style. So it's just basically gone from that. Wrestling's gone from this one glorious movement of explosiveness and strength and power and technique and all this thing, and because of rule sets, because people wanted to achieve something or make something or have something for themselves, unfortunately, they've split it up into different disciplines. So you don't really see wrestling on it and in its whole so much. I think the beauty of kind of what's happening with kind of catch wrestling is the fact that catch wrestling, in my experience, it's kind of started. I mean, with what went on in Wigan and all the rest of it, those guys were pretty big, burly guys, and they didn't really have much freestyle training. So you don't see them, pulling, blast doubles or bullet shoots or anything like that, because they weren't trained in that. That's something that kind of developed along the way in America. But if you look back to like kind of the Indian stuff, they were doing that all day long. A lot of the Indian drills and that you see in like Indian pummeling, and then you've got exercise for plyometrics and explosive stuff, all like way back, like thousands of years. So to say that catch is catch, kind of, the grandfather of it in Wigan, it's fair play, in terms of Britain and all the rest of it. That's fair enough, but it's a particular kind of style, and it neglects a lot of aspects in that. You don't see any kind of freestyle techniques. You don't see any low takedowns. You're beginning to now, because obviously, because it's kind of quote unquote being hybridized, people are now looking at freestyle. People are now looking at some of the Greco grips and Greco clinches. So it's now making its way into catch wrestling in the competitions, so it's going to bring it into a much better and a much more athletic type kind of competition, instead of just like getting into a slow position and then rolling them over and catching an elbow and then doing a sit out that what I mean. So it can be quite slow, but it's now picking up a little bit of space, a little bit of pace, I should say, and a little bit of speed. So what basically what's termed as hybridized to me is like I say, it's an irony. And obviously my LA hybrid catch, it comes from, obviously my roots are with like the Lion's Den and Pancrase and all the rest of it. So Pancrase within itself, it's called Pancrase Hybrid Wrestling. You can't get any more kind of like hybrid than that, really. I mean, you've got the Pancrase in there, which is obviously pancration, and then you've got the hybrid wrestling, which is exactly what it says. It's a hybrid wrestling system. But again, the irony is there, because it's Pancrase. Back then, it wasn't so hybridized. You'd punch, kick, grapple, takedown, shoot in, suplex, Greco clinches, everything was there. So, like I said, that my opinion on it, hybrid kind of is now, I think, the opposite to it being hybrid. It's kind of bringing it back rather than it being continuing to separate the styles. So I think hybridization is actually not being hybrid, but ironically, it's bringing all styles back together as one.
I like that. That's a very interesting take. Val, my question for you, because I know that you've established yourself as Combat City Catch Wrestling is your emphasis is, well, we do North American catch wrestling. But I want your take and your opinion on, bringing other styles in, because I don't want to say you're a purist, so to speak, because I don't think that's fair, but you definitely have, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, an intent of a particular style that you like to represent. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, the concept, kind of what Les was just saying, bringing things all back together, but the concept of people cross training with style specific coaches and bringing it together. What are your thoughts on that, and how would that, you think, influence your curriculum in your school?
Sure. So very recently, I was having a conversation with one of my students who is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I have many students who are black belts in jiu-jitsu and state level competitors, judokas as well, right? And what they found that was very fascinating is the fact that the North American style that we promulgate at our gym allows them to compete in Greco, judo, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, right? So one system that deploys out, right, to various other systems. So where I stand on this is, as I communicated to him, I think if you're a catch wrestler, you should at least get a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. Why? Why? Because there's something called tactile sensitivity, right? So when you are training in different grappling disciplines, you develop different attributes, different skills, and they feel differently to the body. If you've ever fought, they feel different. So if you are someone who just trains purely in wrestling and you're going up against a jiu-jitsu guy, you might say the jiu-jitsu guy's not fighting me back. He's not fighting me back. No, he's about to set you up for a triangle. He's about to set you up for an armbar or something, right? Because the body feels different. And so I said you should at least get a blue belt in jiu-jitsu because jiu-jitsu has a very particular focus on an aspect within the battle curriculum of grappling. And they tend to specialize in it. And I think there's a benefit to understanding that and being sensitive to it. And then also, you inherit the language of that art. You understand how they describe things. You understand how they problem solve, right? Which makes you more battle adaptive, real time. Okay. And so from my standpoint, my goal is to facilitate the conditions under which you will encounter these different styles. So what we do is we do a round where it's folk style wrestling. We do a round where it's freestyle wrestling. We do a round where it's Greco mixed with judo. We do a round where it's anything goes, and that's catch wrestling. So you can't get around any of the different styles out there. So what a lot of my students do is they cross train at places. They train in judo, right? They compete in wrestling. They train jiu-jitsu, right? And then they pop back into the gym, especially when, like, for example, No-Gi Worlds is about to happen and they're training. And they want to round out their game and close their gaps. And what I find is that our open border policy with respect to acquiring techniques makes the gym internally more competitive, and you build a more well-rounded, competent grappler. I myself, being one of the original guys that helped to systemize MMA in America, I can't be tribal and stand in my own history, right? Because I trained in 14 different martial art disciplines myself, okay? And so I'm the product of hybridization, but I also have a base and a foundation. So I think the issue here is that a lot of people think that if you study other martial arts and you learn from other systems, that you're somehow not being true to your base. So you can be for example, a catch wrestler, and you can take 9 months and get a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. You're still a catch wrestler, but now you have an understanding of jiu-jitsu within the context of how jiu-jitsu is practiced, not based on your perception. Because sometimes you perceive an art completely different than how the art is actually being taught. Okay. So, in a nutshell, I think, what we do at Combat City is the focus being to facilitate conditions of battle that does not discriminate against styles, because you need to be able to deal with every single style that comes your way. So we do it by different rounds, and that really does help. And I encourage guys all the time, go cross train and then come back to the lab and test it to see how you make it work for you, because there might be something in a different system that more aligns with your physicality. I'll say for myself, I'm rugged and rough, but I'm also on the technical side. And so wrestling just suits me better in terms of my personality and my level of aggression. And that's just my personality, and that's how I like to express myself. And North American Catch expresses me better than all the other arts that I've trained in. So I have my foundation and I have my add-ons as well. And I think that's healthy. I think we really need to end the tribalism that completely throws out an entire system, because they have battle knowledge, they have competency, and the fact that they exist, you need to respect it. And there's nothing wrong with learning from other styles and learning from other greats, and adding to your game. Even if you aren't using, at least you have knowledge, and that is key.
I love that. Grapplezilla, your thoughts?
I definitely think all of you guys have amazing viewpoints. Mine's a little bit different. I'm a big fan of efficiency and streamlining. Now, I think that understanding, especially in grappling arts, understanding, for example, like Val said, some jiu-jitsu and judo, etc., is vital to becoming a better grappler, and ultimately to be able to get your game plan onto your opponent and actually develop your game plan according to your attributes. I am a huge fan of cross training, but I do think, at least in my opinion, that it should be done more towards your attributes and goals. Okay, goals, of course. So if you're going to go into gi, you got judo or sambo. But then again, you ask what's better. So let's say you're very good at freestyle wrestling. Probably sambo is going to be a better option for you because of the leg grabs. Okay, and also the Kurtka grip on the shoulder. They have something out there, so it almost is like you have a, not an underhook, but you can control the shoulder much better, and that way you can control their head. I was never good at judo. I would actually just use pretty much one or two takedowns effectively that I actually, a judoka showed me, because I was a freestyle wrestler, basically adaptation in order to use it. And I was taking a lot of guys down. But in Greco, and especially freestyle wrestling, I found I was very, very good because of my agility and my technicality. Greco a bit less because I wasn't so strong compared to the other guys. There was guys who are much stronger. So I'm a big believer that yes, you need to train a lot, but you need to keep it efficient and towards your goals and to what your attributes are. Because in the end of the day, you can there's a thing called analysis paralysis. So it means you keep on analyzing and analyzing. It's like, for example, you can go into, of course, I'm not putting them down, but BJJ fanatics. For the next, I don't even know, 10 years, every week you can watch a different video. Okay. And you're just going to analyze and analyze, analyze. But there's going to be a time you got to create your own game. And I think in grappling, it's much more important to go with less is more and build a game that has less things, but you master everything. And by doing that, it's so much easier to learn in the self-perfection way. Instead of self-preservation, it's so much easier to learn those other 1,000 techniques because you have your understanding of your game. For example, I have a friend. He's an amazing close guard player. He gets in the close guard, done. He's a Corral belt, okay? he's not going to be going into crazy arm drags or like mandits, like fireman's carries and straight into like front headlocks, etc. He gets you in the guard, that's it. Should he know about that? Sure. But once again, it's streamlined. And I think the older we get, the more we streamline our techniques according to our attributes and our knowledge and our goal, right? I agree with all of you. Like Adam said, like Les said, like Val, you're going into a gi tournament. It doesn't hurt to know judo, but also you have to understand you need to adapt that judo for your jiu-jitsu, right? If you're going into a no-gi tournament, a submission wrestling tournament, freestyle wrestling is awesome. Greco is awesome, but you need to adapt it because if not, you're going to get caught. So once again, this is it. So I go a little bit way. I'm more about the attributes and what you are good at. You know, if you're fast, maybe a certain styles can be better. If you're really slow but extremely strong, you know, you got good grips, maybe judo and especially maybe Greco is better for you to add on things. That's how I look at things, and my 2 cents.
So it's interesting, you know, as I'm processing what you guys are all saying, it's fascinating in the sense that we, you know, with all of our collective experience, we each have a little bit different take on it, but I think the underlying current is the same in the sense that I don't think any of us here have this concept of, you know, you're only learning XYZ, and if you do anything else, you're a traitor, right? We don't have that concept of you're a traitor if you learn something else or stylistically try to bring something else into your game. What I found over time, and this is just from, I think, a lot of the people that I learned from, and one of which I've brought this up before on the show, and I can always point to this and emphasize it, and he's admitted this, is the training I've done over the years with Eric Paulson. 20 years ago, he was saying to me, yeah, I'm going to teach you all this stuff, but you're going to use very little of it. So regardless of what I teach you, you're going to have to learn how to streamline this so that you have your game and make it more efficient the older that you get. And what I took from that, and I think this is where, you know, that particular academic side of my mind went to, was not being a move collector and being a concept collector. Because the more I studied different styles and I understood conceptually and philosophically what their goals were, it was easy for me to then streamline and say, okay, for, like I say, my system, like Les, is a hybrid grappling system, right? You know, I don't claim it as any one particular thing. It's kind of bringing everything back together. What my goal is to weave in the concepts, how things fit conceptually together, and then find, again, streamline or find the specific techniques within the concepts that are most adaptable to the lowest common denominator, right? Where it's just like, I don't want to do something or teach things where only the big fat guy can do, right? The small person has to do it. I want to make as much as I can, because I know it's not really possible, but to make things where everybody understands the same concept. So how do we get this concept efficiently to where it's not necessarily based on your body type, but where we can adapt it to where it's most efficient, right, to the most number of people. And so instead of, you know, because even to what Val was saying, you can spend years and years and years in every art, you know, and then to what Les was saying, basically everything we're doing is you're just kind of, your psychology is affected by the rule sets, right? So we're looking at these rule sets, and then what are we doing? How are we bringing it in? The reality is the most effective rule set, so to speak, would be the one that has the most threats, like fighting, MMA. right?
The least rules.
Yeah, the least rules, right? So hitting, punching, headbutting, kicking, right? All these things. If you understand that this is the process, you can be an outstanding guard player, but understand, well, what is the point of you using your guard? Your guard then conceptually should be to make sure they can't hit you and to get up. It's not how long can I stay on my back and twist and turn and do all these sexy things from the bottom. Eliminate the circus and streamline for efficiency in a fight.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it just gives you an idea of kind of like the percentage of people obviously that are watching it and giving revenue to the companies that are putting on these shows. It gives you an idea of kind of what the percentage of people with that, kind of style is. The people gravitate towards a particular rule set, others gravitate to another, particular rule set. You got people that will watch freestyle wrestling that won't watch BJJ, and then you've got people that do both that might watch Nogi and so on and so forth, And then you get people jumping around with one foot in the air and then rolling about and then falling on their ass and all the rest of it, which I don't know what kind of people watch that, but it's there. It's out there, isn't it? So yeah. That's kind of what it's, where it's gone now, isn't it? It's a bit of a
We were going to talk about that because Adam sent me this thing
right.
yesterday.
Man.
So I saw that UFC BJJ 3 and that Mikey Musumeci. I don't know what's going on. I swear to God, guys, I am so confused.
Yeah.
So Adam, explain this, that breakdancer thing that you sent me to. It was like almost like 1-to-1.
Well, not that Aussie one, right?
Yeah, ray
What,
gun.
Adam, what was that?
Ray gun. Right? So everybody worldwide knows what happened with this Australian breakdancer ray gun, right? Oh my God. Even in Australia, we go, oh God, right? She did the exact move that Mikey Musumeci did. The exact move.
Yeah, they're mates. They're obviously mates.
Right? This whole business with one leg in the air. I screenshotted it of her, screenshotted Musumeci and sent him to Brian. Bro, are they not the same technique? It's like Musumeci went and did a private with her, yeah, and brought it to UFC BJJ. This is going to wreck him. It's identical. I was just like, wow.
I don't know, man.
I didn't know that Ray Gun taught jiu-jitsu. Who knew?
I thought sitting down was bad enough, but yeah, no, that did it for me,
So
mate.
can somebody explain to me what that was? I mean, was he trying to bait a single leg? Is that what it was?
I think so. I think he was trying to bait an attack and then he would defend and counterattack. That's exactly because if not,
Someone got stuck.
yeah, like someone has to push the reset button on Musumeci because something went wrong, push reset. But also, like, how do you, on a separate topic, sorry, how do they sell the UFC event when people watch that? We're going to watch UFC BJJ and you see, like, basically it looked like Daniel's son.
Yeah, I want to go see that.
Do you know what I mean? Doing the crane kick, without the kick. But yeah, it was, I mean, do you even call it a combat art anymore? If that's
the thing, innit? I don't know. I'd be hard pressed to call it anything, really.
It's a bit nuts.
Val's
Anything
crying.
aside from ridiculous.
Oh man,
I don't under.
Pretty bad.
I was going to go run after this.
Why it's done? I don't know what it is.
Not running anymore.
I
Laughing my ass off.
I don't know where they're going with it. I don't know where it's going to end up. I don't call it grappling. I call it a sideshow, and it's not even a good sideshow. It's ridiculousness.
Yeah.
It's rabbit hole grappling. It's rabbit hole, man.
I just, it is rabbit hole grappling. I don't understand. I was so confused, and I saw it, and then Adam sent me that thing. I was like, "What on earth is going on here?" I thought it was a joke, honestly. When I saw it and I saw the clips, then I watched the match. I thought
Well,
it
you
was
saw
a
the
joke.
guy defending it, right? You saw the guy being very defensively minded while Musumeci was hopping towards him, right? He's like moving away, and I'm like, what is happening here? Rabbit hole grappling, man.
So it gets to the question, Adam and I were talking about this again the other day. It seems to me that jiu-jitsu is the only grappling art where everybody agrees to the position, right? This shit doesn't fly in anything else. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Greco,
I was just
judo.
thinking about that the other day. Yeah, why do people do that?
You have one other grappling art, Glima, where they start in this like waltz type of position, but then they fight. They try to get out of the position, right, from the standing point of view. But other than that, yeah, you're right. In one way, it produces a very interesting place because you become a master of that position because you do it over and over and over. But once again, when you get to realism and the dynamics of a fight, because in the end of the day, all of us older guys, we wanted to do jiu-jitsu because we saw it work in the UFC. That's what it came down to. And then we saw the efficiency. So ultimately, the question is, are we still going with our goal of the fight? So yeah, because like in a fight, do you agree to a position? No, you try to batter your opponent and try to get him to guess your position and dominate. Always the top position if you can. But in jiu-jitsu, it is true. And I've been suspect to it too when training in jiu-jitsu. Someone doesn't want to go in a takedown when I was younger and they say, you want to start in the bottom or the top? And I would say, okay, top or whatever you want. But I looked at it as an advantage because as a training tool, there is some, if you have a guy who's really good at, really crap at the bottom, have him start in the bottom for the next 2 months, he'll get better at the bottom. But what happens is that becomes a very, like I think Chris Howder, you would say, seductive nature of the guard. And it really is because you just lay there. And that thing with Musumeci, that was the 2.0 of when Paulo, I don't know if it's Paulo, but one of the Miao brothers went against Vitor Estima. Remember? And he was doing the butt drag and Estima was walking around. This is even worse. Like, I mean, the whole point of grappling is domination. So, for example, let's say Val and I grapple. Okay. Val throws me and he gets on top of me. That's domination because no matter what, I want to get up. You know, it's about one man emphasizing his want on another. Where jiu-jitsu came, which is a good thing, is they said, okay, if that's the reality, we're going to work on the other end and weaponize it. I'm okay with that, and I love it. But Brian, you're spot on. It is a point where there is this agreement to your position, and then again, that takes away the teeth from the tiger's bite. You shouldn't agree to anything. They say, "Come here." You don't. If you're on the top and you want to get up again and throw the guy. If you're on the ball, like I totally agree, and it's a really, I think it was an effective tool for learning. And it went into becoming a comfortable tool for training. And I think this is the issue. It's a big issue, man.
Adam, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, with what Grapplezilla was saying there, like at what point is it still a combat art? I mean, Musumeci doing that, are you telling me if he did that to one of the guys here who's been around and had a few stoushes in their time, you're not just going to overhand ride him straight on the chin and go, just go away, you weirdo. Yeah, you're going to knock him out to the middle next week. Boom, get out of here, you spastic. Get out, just go away. I just can't, man. I just can't look at it even and go that it's jiu-jitsu. I can't look at it and go it's a martial art. I've got to look at it and go, it's a freaking sideshow. Yeah, if you did that even to a wrestler, just a straight freestyle wrestler, he's going to blast W that hard. He's going to knock his ribs out his ass.
But honestly, isn't that the one moment on earth you say, take out the leg, like you did in karate? Like you just nail that other leg?
For me, dude, I wouldn't. Like, literally, I wouldn't bother. I would literally just Superman punch him. Boom! Take that. I mean, seriously. You would put the guy into the middle of next year. You know, this whole business like this with his hands, what's that going to do?
I don't know.
And he's on one leg. You know, boom, drop him on his head. I don't even understand why the other guy's just going, okay, oh, that's scary. Like, what the hell? What are you even backing up from that for? Yeah. Well, it's craziness to me. I just sort of go, why even bother? Why even bother? It's not like if you, like you were saying, Grapplezilla, if I play guard, I'm going to get better at guard. If I'm shit on the bottom, I'm going to work on the bottom and then I'll get better at it. It doesn't matter what you do. This is not going to improve anything. You could do this for the next 20 years. It's not going to improve anything. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. And
But have you tried it, Adam? Have you tried it?
Well, yes.
Maybe
After I saw it, I did try it. Okay. And you know what happened? My son dropped me on my head.
No.
That's what happened. And he's never wrestled. This isn't the wrestling son. This is the other son. He's never even wrestled. He still dropped me on my head.
I think Val needs to make a video on this. I want Val to go in there, set up the position, and do some lemur shit with the.
I'm not willing to destroy my reputation for the sake of furthering this conversation, man. Just not willing to do it. And if I were to do that, I would expect all of you guys to like and comment. Okay. Don't just let it hit your timeline and be like, yeah, okay. But what I was going to say was, so there's three things here, right? That gets back to the martial essence, the combat application, right? So typically there's three modes of training. There's the agreeableness, right? In every grappling system, we have some form of agreeableness, especially when we're starting off new persons, right? New people. We kind of we restrict them to doing specific things in order for us to monitor and push them along. So you got agreeableness. Then you have adaptive challenge, right? Adaptive challenge is where we are really drilling, we're giving resistance, we're moving, we're doing a lot of stuff, right? Then you have your pressure testing, where now everything that you've developed from a positional hierarchy, the control mechanics that you developed when you were in the adaptive challenge mode, now under pressure testing, it's all live, right? And that live is either going to be in the mat room or it's going to be in competition, right? And the goal is to make sure that it ties back to the martial essence of combat. What we're seeing right now is a deviation away from the martial application in the example that was presented by Mr. Musumeci. He's a phenomenal jujutera, but that display does not tie back to the martial essence of grappling. And he's not alone in that regard. I think all of us, being more old school, we've seen the evolution further and further away from the combat application. Guys like Les, guys like myself, Adam, Brian, we look like dinosaurs because our grappling takes into consideration being punched in the face, right? Our movement patterns takes into consideration you being struck. Our leg locks take into consideration a guy kicking away and kicking you, not just you being able to lay there and run a sequence. And so, again, agreeableness, adaptive challenge, and pressure testing. It's just that you see the agreeableness being the dominant trait especially in the case of like jiu-jitsu. And you also have the trend of folks going away from the martial core of what grappling should be. And that's an unfortunate trend, because as folks shop for techniques from other grappling arts, you're incorporating them in hybridization, right, format, but you're anchoring it in the area of agreeableness. But you got to have agreeableness, the adaptive challenge, and the pressure testing. You need all three of them to work together to tie back to that martial essence in order for the grappling to remain realistic. And unfortunately, we see a trending, especially in the jiu-jitsu space, unfortunately, going in the opposite direction as far as realism.
You know, I had a guy recently, he asked me, I was training with him, and he's just like, "Whoa, you got to really be expert in this 50-50 position." I'm like, "Why?" I'm like, "I know it, I understand it, but," I go, "why am I going to sit on my ass if you're sitting on your ass?" Like I would have to intentionally be there when I just want to get on top of you and I'll roll you up. You know, it's I'm so confused after Adam sent that to me. I'll be honest with you guys. I am so bewildered uh, because I genuinely don't understand the mindset of these new guys, and it's clearly something that maybe there's just growing where there's money involved to look like
Yeah.
a fucking
Yeah,
whatever it is.
that's exactly what it is. I mean, if you think about the UFC, back in the day, um, they would be able to go down, they'd be able to do takedowns, they'd be able to um, submit you, hold you there, and all the rest of it. But obviously, it doesn't sell tickets, so they reduce the round times. They give bonuses for standing up and striking. They try and favor the striking a lot more. So it's just appealing to the masses, isn't it? That's kind of what it is. And I think, appealing to the masses on TV, the God's TV, innit? So, everybody's edging towards that kind of whatever sells is whatever pays, So if you want to jump around on one leg and look like a complete freaking donut, then by all means do it, because it's going to give us loads of money. If it doesn't work, I'm sure Dana White's going to be the first one that says, "Don't do that again." Otherwise you won't get paid. So I think people just ebb in that direction, and wrestling, martial arts as a whole, I think. Now it's not like it used to be. I mean, a majority of people would turn to martial arts to stop getting beaten up, stop getting bullied, or if there's a problem, then you want to learn to be strong. So your parents want you to be strong. They want you to learn how to fight. They want you to learn how to wrestle. They want you to get somewhere. It was never something that people wanted to do to be on TV. It's something that people wanted to do to improve themselves and be a masculine person. Be be a dog, but. But now it's just, I can do this. I don't particularly want to get hit, but I can roll around, jump up and down on one leg, and then grab somebody's toes and try and twist them off while I'm massaging him with my other hand. And it's it's like, that's basically what you're getting paid for. And it's not like it used to be. So I think in as it's been said, we're dinosaurs in that respect, because people don't really want to do it to do that anymore, because they're kind of protected now by this kind of system and this and that. So people aren't looking to win in a fight anymore. They're looking to make money from doing things that are as far from a fight as building a freaking Lego Millennium Falcon or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
So, okay, so Les, here's my question to you then. And I think you've hit something, you've touched a nerve, and I think we can go deeper in it, and it's going to be rabbit hole jujitsu here, as Val most appropriately said. How close are we getting then to it just being pro wrestling for jujitsu? I mean, it's becoming a system of show holds. It's more like an exhibition than any type of actual grappling combat, because it's so close to interpretive dance. And when you're agreeing to the position and when you are creating these synchronizations, right? Combat is based on disagreeableness. The minute you agree, that's a work. right? You agree to the position, that's a work. So go ahead. I'm going to open this up to you guys. Val
No.
needs to, Val needs a breath.
Interpretive dance. I mean, they just hit the nail on the head there, bro. But yeah, I mean, it's like when they fight. Or, well, it's not even a fight. When they before they dance, it's like this unwritten rule where one person's going to go into one direction and the other one is gonna is gonna follow it.
Mhm.
You know, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's like that. God, fucking like him jumping on one foot, right? So that's like sending a message. You know, it's like, okay, well, you know, I'm going to jump on one foot now. You know, so it's like instead of looking instead of seeing the advantage how to take the guy out, it's like, okay, what area are we going to compete in today? It's like, okay, well, he's hopping on his left foot, I'll hop on my right. So now I'm going to sit down. Well, I'm going to sit down as well. You know, it's like some kind of one-upmanship of absolute garbage, you know? And then like one person will go for a leg lock, then the other person will go into a leg lock. Why not get out the leg lock and just grab him and suplex him over your back and smack him into the mat instead of allowing yourself to be pulled into that game? This is what I don't understand. People are allowing each other to be pulled into their game, and they're, you know, so it's like some kind of weird communication to do what they want to do on their level, you know? If somebody falls on their ass, somebody else falls on their ass. If somebody puts one leg up in the air, somebody else puts one leg up in the air. So instead of somebody falling on the ass and the other guy not going down onto the knees to enter the guard, getting over them, ragging them about by their ankles, swinging them around their head and letting them go. You know, I just don't understand why people are engaging in that type of dance. It just like infuriates me. It's like when you watch it, it's like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? You know, if you get somebody that's never done it before and then you just stick them in there, they're not going to react like that. They're going to be like, all right, thanks for that. I'm going to take you down and drop you on your head. You know, but because it's all, you know, they get into this kind of narrative, everybody gets herded in that direction. It's crazy, man. It's like some weird, like physical mind control or whatever. It's just mad to me. That's, you know what I mean? I don't get it.
Adam, how is it not a work? From what we're describing here, how is this not a work?
Okay, well, it is technically a work in the sense that I guess they both agree, as Les just said. One sits down, the other sits down. One hops on one leg, the other hops on one leg. It's that total agreement to position. Yeah. The only way that these people are submitting each other with, and look, I don't want to say everybody because there are some very good jiu-jitsu guys out there in no-gi tapping people with good jiu-jitsu. Yeah, what I would consider effective good jiu-jitsu. But there are a certain group, and Musamichi is one of them. And look, I'm not disrespecting Musamichi as a guy. I don't know him. I've never talked to him, never met him. However, the stuff that I've seen him do is, I mean, let's face it, it's kind of weird shit, right? Yeah, it's very weird. And I guess when you are engaging with someone like Musamichi, he sits on his butt and you sit on your butt and we entangle our legs like scissoring each other and we both start going for the same leg lock, someone's going to get there first, okay? This whole scissoring thing, yeah, this business, and someone get a leg lock quickly before I come. It's just so ridiculous, man. Like it is. It's and it's a work in the sense that we both agree to do this. Yeah, there's no way that a lot of the time, and these. Sorry, guys, I can't. It's literally ridiculous too. I just got to laugh, right? I can't hold it anymore.
They're just a bunch of fuck knuckles.
Basically, yeah, it's what it is, man. And literally, except it's fuck toes, yeah, because like jamming their toes up each other's butt and giving it to them to just tap me with a leg lock. I want to see these guys take someone down that's resisting, take them down, get past the defenses and leg lock someone effectively. Then I'll be impressed. Like you see Gordon Ryan do it. Yeah, Gordon Ryan, he can do that. He can get past someone's defenses, take someone down, tap them out with effective technique. Yeah, whether you like Gordon Ryan or not, whether you respect Gordon Ryan or not, it doesn't matter. In my opinion, Gordon Ryan is still probably the best no-gi guy on the planet, because he can take people down. He doesn't need someone to agree to the position to submit him. He makes that happen. Okay, that's the sign of a good jiu-jitsu guy. He makes that position happen. It's not someone gives him his foot and goes, all right, well, we'll both try leg locks until someone taps. That is a work. Yeah, and I would say the difference is in the pros, in pro wrestling, the works are a bit harder on the body than that shit.
Is very true. Val, are you breathing now?
I am. I've recovered. I have recovered. I think it's just the interpretive dance was just a visual delivery that you can no longer unsee it and view it that way. Now it's ruined it for me. So from this
But it
point
wasn't ruined
forward,
before.
no, I was there before, but now I can't turn it off now. It's like interpretive dance. Oh geez. But I think again, it's just so what you had hit on earlier, Brian, was the concept, right? So us old school guys, we all have that CRA model, right? Concept, rule, and application, right? We all have that CRA model. That's how all of us have been able to understand different systems, right? Understand their application and see them through rule sets, right? We understand this. But then when we're in the training room, again, agreeableness, adaptation, adaptive challenges, and then pressure testing. I think you have guys that float across the spectrum. The most effective guys are going to be the guys that are adaptive challenge to pressure testing, right? But everywhere we start with the agreeableness in order to develop technique, I just think that what I'm seeing with the interpretive dance movement, the rabbit hole movement, is this I tried it out to hear myself say it. So I heard myself say it, and I now I can say it comfortably without smirking and laughing. But I think the folks that are staying in that agreeableness category, it's just very cringe at this point. It's just very cringe at this point, and what it leaves open is the door to question whether or not that is truly combat effective or not. And I think the answer is unanimously no. That's probably not combat effective. Which is very interesting when you think of what inspired people to train, for example, jiu-jitsu in the first place. It was the idea of it being combat effective. Only to become a member of that tribe of jiu-jitsu to now not be practicing the principles of it in competition. It doesn't make a lot of sense, in my opinion.
So I remember about maybe it was 10 years ago, could have been longer. You guys have to forgive me. My timeline blurs the older I get. When Jeff Glover had come out with this donkey guard thing, where he was it looked like he was twerking, where he was on all fours and he'd back his ass up into the guy. And then I remember there was a bunch of guys going out in some schools I'd go visit and stuff, and everybody was practicing this donkey guard. You back your ass up, get on all fours, legs up, back your ass up into the guy, and try to go into these rolling leg locks. It didn't really last too long, but that was a thing for a minute. So I'm wondering now if the Musamechi hop, or whoever that breakdancer was, if that's going to be a thing now, where are people, what do you guys think? Are people going to start practicing this? Where they're going to be like, hey,
mate.
Yeah. Is that what we're going to see next?
Ray
Gonna
Musimichi tutorial.
That's 100%
hands in the hop.
BJJ fanatics. BJJ fanatics, here it comes. Yeah, Ray Gunn and Musamichi. Yeah, the hop.
Or BJ fanatics.
No, yeah, BJ fanatics, exactly. That's what they are, a bunch of cocksuckers. But anyway, right. The thing is, I guarantee you, Musamichi, look, he's a weird little dude, right? I don't care what anyone says. He's a weird little dude who's in a real fight is going to get killed. Yet I saw something, and this is why I'm bringing it up, right? Yes, it's going to happen. You are going to see people doing this sort of shit. After he did that on UFC BJJ, there was a post that came across. How do you think Mikey Musumeci would go in MMA? And people are going, oh, he'd be great. He does Muay Thai. He does this. Are you serious? Like, are you serious? Musumeci doing MMA with that sort of stuff? You're kidding, right? Like, somebody is going to kill him. Like, literally kill him. But these people...
Yeah, definitely needs a bit of training before he jumps in the cage.
Dude, right? Like, but people are going, oh, he'd be amazing. He'd be amazing. He'd be unstoppable with his grappling. What? On what level? Like, if somebody doesn't give him the foot or agree to this position, I'm still yet to see Musumeci take anybody down. Still, I haven't seen him take anybody down. Yeah. Think about it. When was the last time you ever saw him take somebody down from a disagreeable position? Somebody who was wrestling against it going, no, you're not taking me down. I can't think of one. Can any of you guys?
No, I don't watch him, so I don't know.
But it's almost as, I'll say new school. Like this agreeability, what happens is it creates a huge reality of false positives. Everything's just like, it really is just a false positive like reality. And the thing that I notice is if you wrestle, for example, an older school guy, okay, and I'm sure all of us have definitely had the opportunity to do that a lot in our life. They don't get really annoyed if you don't agree to a position. But I found when you go with the newer guys, they get a little bit annoyed and they even get offended and angry. And they immediately go from like this passivity to this hyper aggressiveness. And you know what? For us, I don't think it's that hard to see this. But can you imagine being some guys from like the Carlson Gracie team and seeing this? You know, they must just be like, man, what are you doing to our art? You know? And I think it is what it is. And as long as the money is there, and the money is there because it's sport karate. It's not Kyokushinkai. It's touch karate, right? And does touch karate produce good fighters? Yeah, you get the odd one like Stephen Thompson, etc. Very good fighter. But does it produce the Ray Sifos? Does it produce the Remy Banyanskis? You know, the Anderson Silvas? No, it doesn't.
You've got to want to hit hard and get hit hard to fight. You've just like, it doesn't matter what you do with that stuff.
Also in grappling, you got to want to, part of grappling. So, every grappler's got the stories of how they dominated people. Mm-hmm. But as you get older, you start realizing, well, at least I do. I have been thrown so hard in my life that maybe that's accredited me to my Tourette's. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that it's part of it. How many injuries have all of us? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised near 100 injuries. And yet I keep on coming back, right? And they're not injuries from agreeable positions.
No.
Right? So it's just, and what happens is you're around this reality of false positives. Everyone is comfortable with false positives. And then what happens, you get surprised when jiu-jitsu is all of a sudden not working in UFC. Granted, the rule set, etc., is more towards strikers. But yeah, you get what I mean.
I like that concept of false positives. That's really, really important for all the listeners to consider.
When I'm teaching, one thing I say to the guys, I spent a lot of time working the doors as well. Like 2 decades working the doors all over. And one thing I say to people is like, if you're not going to do it on concrete, don't fucking do it at all. Because that's where the danger, even if you're training on a mat, if you're not doing it on concrete, don't do it at all. don't jump guard. Don't put anything where the back of your head's going to hit the floor, you know. If you end up there and you've tried to maintain your position and you're bridging out and you can't, then maybe you can wrap your legs around into a half guard just to tide you over until you can change your position, but you don't want to be there. So don't be there. But now it's just, you know, oh, we've got a nice comfy mattress here on the floor. I can, you know, sit on my ass, or I can jump up and down on one leg and I know I'm not going to get hurt. If somebody throws me, you know, and then you can't slam them after that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's,
Yeah, you can't slam them. There's no can opener.
mm,
You know, also there was
no
I can't
crossface, no spine twisting, you know, like there's all this kind of stuff that comes in,
for
isn't there?
sure. No head, like you know, there was a YouTube prison channel that a channel on a guy who came out of prison, a very African American guy, very very honest guy, and I remember him saying, you know, he saw tons of fights in the prisons, and he was in maximum security, and he said, you know, the most common knockout was basically someone would take someone, slam them on the ground, and then their hit hits the concrete, and they're out. You know, this is reality, man. You know, you're right, Les. You know, in the end of the day, if you can't work on concrete, unless that's your goal, is your goal to be the Mikey Musechmechi, who, by the way, is a very talented grappler.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me
No,
wrong.
he's clever with his legs. He knows his positions. His
Yeah,
mechanics is great, but
he's phenomenal. But once again, I feel as the older generation, we need to have a bit of responsibility and say, okay, this is nice, but it's a false positive. And you should be doing martial arts for the martial.
yeah. 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 Not everybody wants to be on, you know, Minecraft and doing that kind of stuff. You know, want to be making active, active stuff that makes you, you know, a patriarch, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I get a lot of that when I have listeners come train with me. I get a lot of people that come and, you know, they hear the show, they want to come and visit and train a little bit, and I'm all for it. But there's a common denominator that I've noticed. Even the guys that they listen to the show and they go, yeah, I want it. They're grittier. They're definitely grittier guys. But then they come train a little bit and they realize, oh shit, no, this stuff hurts. Oh, I can't get up. Oh, I can't get out of this. I can't get out of that. I don't think I could do this at my school because I would get in a lot of trouble, or I would, you know, get thrown out, or I'm not going to make any friends at my dojo if I wrap a cradle, or if I shin ride somebody, or if I hit a proper crossface. And, you know, my whole thing is, well, and do you want to be an efficient grappler that actually puts people out? Or like, understand, you have to have your goal of like, why are you doing this? Like Val was saying, this is like, you need to put the martial part back into the martial art. And if you're not understanding that theoretically you should all be playing kill, and it's a gentleman's agreement not to murder the other person, right? That's really the only thing. That's why we respect the tap. We're making a gentleman's agreement not to kill the other person. But the threat of death should be there at all times. That sense of impending doom and violence.
Yeah.
Like I say, I've said this multiple times on the show. First 10 years of my grappling, I was the combat base. I was the garage prison bitch. Okay? 10 years of being a prison bitch to Chris Howder, Hegan, and any of those black belts that walked through that garage. And it gave me a tremendous amount of confidence post-prison bitch time, because I was able to learn how to work out, defend myself, and work out of horrible positions where people were hitting me, grinding me, ripping me. And then I just noticed one day it all went away. And I really feel like especially maybe the last 10 years, I don't know, maybe because it's just like the proliferation of schools around the world where everybody's looking at as a, like almost like a taekwondo school these days, where they're just trying to make a living out of teaching a social art, not a martial art, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's what it's come down to.
For
You
me,
know,
I think
you don't see holes in
here's the
walls.
thing. Sorry, Ryan.
Mhm.
Here's the
No, go.
thing. I look at it and go, if you like at our gym here, we train mainly wrestlers. Yeah, it's very rare we even do jiu-jitsu anymore. Yeah, it's all wrestlers, whether it's freestyle, Greco, or catch. Yeah, most of our stuff here is wrestling. But I go, a lot of these gyms, in exactly what you're saying, are you here to make fighters or are you here to make money? Okay,
Yep.
and the minute it becomes about making money, you have to cater to people who don't want to get hurt. You have to cater to people
Exactly.
who want a social environment. You have to cater to people who
Yeah.
don't want to be uncomfortable in any aspect, whether that's physicality, whether it's pain, whether it's exhaustion. You have to cater to this. Yeah. And then everything else comes along where you have to buy my uniform. You have to pay for your gradings. You have to do a certain amount of gradings. You have to do a certain amount of privates. All this stuff becomes about generating collateral. Yeah. It's about generating money. If that is the type of training you want to do, great. I'm all for it. Yeah, we're all trying to earn a living off martial arts. We all run schools professionally. We don't do it just for fun. We do it to also make a living as well, a lot of us. But I go, it depends on what you do with your gym and what you're willing to sacrifice. At our gym, I don't have 500 students. I don't, because 500 people wouldn't deal with our training. We train too hard. It's an old school wrestling room. Yeah, we don't have all these big plush things. We still drop people on mats. Yeah, like the little jigsaw mats, like a wrestling room. We suplex people on them. You can't take that. Bad luck. You know, yeah, I'm not interested. I want to know that that's how I learn. And I bring that across, yeah. And so I'm never going to have 500 students. The minute I put in the big, thick foam things, you know, the like Les said, a nice big mattress on the floor, and no suplexes, no vertical anyway. You know, we can always turn to the side and just drop you down gently and all that sort of stuff. And we don't do hard warm-ups. You know, we do a couple of star jumps, a couple of push-ups, maybe run around the mat once. Okay, let's do a drill. That is not the style of training I do. It's not the style of training I want to do. But when a person is running a gym for a huge financial incentive, it's what they do as a business and a big business, you're never going to have the same type of training that we do here. It's different. It's either you're building fighters and people who want to do martial arts and building martial artists, or you're building hobbyists and people who want to say they do jiu-jitsu. But the problem that I have with this is that it also creates a very, very false sense of security. They are promoting it as a self-defense system, and the stuff that is happening is not self-defense anymore.
No,
Very
it's
true.
not.
All right. I want to switch subjects really quick as we wrap this up. Because it's just, it kind of gets to the concept of the alpha in the room, so to speak. I don't know how true this is, but I don't know if you guys saw that Ilya Tapuria's wife was caught with Islam Makhachev. And so Ilya Tapuria is getting divorced from his wife, beautiful woman. And they were, I guess, on vacation together or something, Islam and Ilya's wife. They're caught in the water together. There's pictures of them. And then Islam just lost, apparently, his endorsement with Louis Vuitton. I think it was because they said, well, his morals and values don't line up with, our values. So is it now the time for a fight between Tapuria and Islam? Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know how real this is, but it has been all over the internet in the last week.
Hold on, I got to ask. Before the shocking thing isn't Tapuria. The shocking thing is Louis Vuitton used Islam Makhachev as their spokesperson. I mean, what
Man,
is the
that's
guy
just
doing?
all blown my mind. Like,
Like, holy man. Like, I love Islam, but did this really happen? Or you, like,
I swear to God,
he's
it's
not
all,
exactly a
AI?
GQ model, though, is he? Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it. I mean, what's going on?
I don't know. I swear it is all over the internet.
Holy, if that's true, man.
I
That-
have not heard that, but I can't imagine. Come wear Louis Vuitton. Come guys, just come.
With Smash.
Well,
just come. Yeah.
if this is not the
I don't know. I haven't heard that.
UFC White House fight to make, they're talking about having a fight at the White House, the big UFC event that they're apparently
You
doing.
never
for
know.
next
Dana
year.
White might have dropped 500 grand on her and said, "Look, you need to just go for a swim with this guy." Blah blah blah. Just because we need that Poirier fight. Fucking, you never know. You never know, man. Them fucking dodgy bastards.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You do never know, but there's also this AI shit that's happening at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of AI stuff.
Oh, that might be it. Yeah.
Well,
Who knows?
Here's the thing, though. They both, Ilya and his wife, took down all of their pictures together. And apparently he filed for divorce. So like I said,
or maybe it was a
I
really
do not
good-looking
know
guy
anymore.
that was with her, and they just AI'd Makachev's face on it to make it look like it was him. Because I can't imagine, you know what I mean? Poirier is a pretty good-looking dude, Spanish dude. He's going to be slick. He's going to have all that lingo going on as well, that Latin lingo, funky bilingual shit going down. So, he's not exactly going to, but I wouldn't have thought that, it's that kind of catch. So it's probably some really good-looking guy and have just stuck Makachev's face on that AI just to make it look like it's him.
Yeah, I
take advantage of a situation.
Yeah. I mean, Islam Makhachev is probably not. He's some letters, but he's not GQ.
Yeah.
He's got some letters, but they're not GQ. No disrespect to the brother, but
oh no, absolutely, mate. Fucking legend, isn't he? But yeah, it's just weird goings on, isn't it? But like I say, man, it's like that world of works, and I've seen contract in my time. I've seen contracts that you would think were real fights and are not, and have not been. Most public will be like, yeah, he beat so and so. It's like he didn't. He just got paid to. So yeah. And some of them are obvious, and some of them aren't so obvious. And you probably see it every freaking month anyway. It's not like it's a rarity. It happens a lot,
Although I gotta say, if this is true, what was going through what do you call Ilya's wife's head?
Yeah.
I mean, like, Islam Makhachev, it's not Brad Pitt, man.
Man,
She's from
no
Miami.
offense
I'm
to
not
Islam.
even going into any woman's head, mate.
She is from Miami, so I don't know. You can't trust a Miami girl. If some Miami girl yells at me for saying that, sorry. But she's a Latina from Miami. Okay.
Okay.
All the glitz and glamour.
Let the hate mail come in now.
Glitz in the tits.
So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if this is real or false. It could be completely false, and I apologize if it's false. All I'm saying is it's all over the internet.
Well,
she's probably traumatized from watching a fight with some guy bouncing up and down on one leg.
Maybe.
Yes,
maybe
exactly. She needed a release or something. But we're not here to verify. Tell you what. We're just here to discuss.
If this is true?
If this is true, they better make this fight for that UFC White House card.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is going to be explosive. That you couldn't write a better narrative. This guy took my wife. He was in the water with her, blah, 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 blah. He's hooking up with my chick. Now I got to fight for redemption. I mean,
while she's ringside.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's just like Miss Elizabeth and Randy Macho Man Savage and George the Animal Steel and Hulk Hogan. Dude, you couldn't get a better storyline. This is a brilliant storyline.
Sounds like a work to me.
Mental, man. Yeah.
This is nuts. I'm just looking.
It's
at
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, you really have my Google action going hard right now. I'm like trying.
Me too.
You too? Yeah, we're all kind of like.
I want to see the fight already.
Yeah.
If this is true.
Well, we're not here to verify. We're just here to discuss. So
That would be a massive fight. Massive.
fascinating.
It would have been anyways, but now with that story, oh boy,
even better. You kidding me?
oh,
They
it's
got
the fight
they are
we all
just
wanted.
stirring the pot. Oh shit! I got to see that. I was just like, that would be nuts. It'd be absolutely nuts. I mean, talk about a storyline. He's going to come up from featherweight to lightweight to fight to get his wife back and blah 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 blah. And here we go, right in the middle of the White House lawn. Oh my God! You kidding me?
And Stallone's writing a movie about it right now.
Woo! That is, I mean, if
And
that's
hopefully it'll be
real,
better than Expendables 4. That was a right load of crap.
yeah. If it's real, or if both guys lean into the storyline, let's say it's not real, but both guys lean into that storyline, they won't know what to do with the cash flying out of their pockets.
Oh yeah.
And so then we have UFC becoming WWE. We just talked about
Well,
works,
they're
didn't
owned by
we?
the same company
They're owned
now,
by the same
right?
company, right?
Exactly.
Been on its way for a while, hasn't it, though?
Yeah, it's
Really?
only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Gone are the days of Zuffer, mate.
Yeah.
Gone.
I mean,
well gone.
if you're allowing Mikey Musumeci to do his little ray gun dance in the middle of a jiu-jitsu match and the bullshit,
Like a Rain Man
we've seen,
dance, but
it's really one of these things where we can see the direction things are going, right? We can see the direction things are going.
My word. God damn.
Sport jiu-jitsu has completely jumped the shark. It is it is not recognizable to a martial art anymore. I think it's completely, they've lost their marbles.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, if this Topuria Makachev storyline is true,
Is anything on there? Did you find anything on there, guys?
I saw something.
Facebook. I only saw Facebook talking
right.
about it. It looks like it's from a satire site, but then there's other stuff out there. I'm gonna need time to dive into this. I'm gonna need more Starbucks.
there it is.
I've got to. Yeah, that's the one I saw. And now he
That's
does
Islam.
look like Islam. It does look like him. I mean, I do recognize
He
that
wants
body
to-
lock. I do
but those are-
recognize. I do recognize
those-
that body lock, right? That's
yeah, that's for sure. And and those are Louis Vuitton glasses. So
I mean, and it looks like he was popping his hips, so he definitely was preparing for a lift. I can tell.
Giving her a lift, all right, 8
Suplex,
inches at a time.
suplex loading, right? That's what it looks like.
Jesus.
Now, if we ever want to talk, if we since we're all experts in grappling, I'm pretty sure we can spot the proper mechanics, right?
yeah, that would be a 5-point throw for sure.
5 points
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
All right, we're going to leave it at that cliffhanger. Val and Grapplezilla are going to do some research to see
That's
the
right.
depth of how true this is. If I was them, and let's say he's even getting divorced and all that's true, they better lean into this fucking storyline because, like I said, they are not going to know what to do with all the money they make off of that. They better lean into this hard, and they better not tell anybody it's bullshit. They better fucking lean into it like nobody's business because
You
I
want
want
this,
to
don't you,
believe
mate?
Yeah, he
Oh, dude,
wants it.
look,
He wants it,
Cuban
man.
family, my Cuban grandmother,
He wants
like
to
sitting there.
Musumeci hop into this,
Oh, yeah. Look, I grew up with telenovelas. I was watching telenovelas with my grandmother every day after school. My whole life was a telenovela, right? Okay. So all I know is Cuban drama. This is Cuban drama with a Georgian and a Dagestani. So I am psyched for the drama.
Like, how does that
I
even
love
happen?
it.
You know what I mean? Like,
I want her at ringside crying with a sash on and an evening gown and some flowers, where both guys are trying to give her flowers as they're walking to the ring. I want security around her. I want it to be a fucking show of the century. I'm telling, if these guys are smart, they are going to lean into this and they are going to make more money. They can both retire after that fight. They better lean into this, or they run it across the world. They do it a couple times. You win this one, I win this one, you win the next one. You know, Makhachev's obviously the heel in this one because he stole the wife. So make Topuria chase him around the world. You know, it's a classic storyline. There is money to be had in every town with this storyline in that
2-3
fight.
years, Dagestan,
Oh, yeah.
forget. You know.
Oh my God. Glorious.
Yeah.
All right, boys, let's wrap this up.
Shit, that storyline.
Oh, it's beautiful. Islam may or may not have taken Ilya Topuria's chick, learn different styles, bring it together, but learn based on concepts. Don't collect moves. At the end of the day, don't collect moves. Collect the concepts of different fighting
what would his
styles.
pickup line be? Hey, who give Ilya black belt? Who give him? Okay, he teach you. Show me. In the water, show me. Turn around, show me.
So bad.
like, come on,
Open a can of worms on this one.
Like, that's how he would pick you up. Like, no, okay, you say, okay, show me pool, water over there. You should show me.
That's crazy. All right, guys, we'll leave it at that. You guys have a job to do. Val, Grappazilla, research this shit and get back to us.
We got you, man.
Because I want to know. And dude, Grapplezilla, you know all these Dagestanis anyways. You better fucking start making some phone calls and
I'll
find
find
out what
out.
the hell's going on.
I'll find
We
out.
need to know, dude. We
Yeah,
need to know because we will push this thing so hard. Oh my
Evidence.
God.
There were pieces of
I
a
cannot
beard
wait.
floating in. Y'all like, oh, the beard. There was a beard. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we got it. You could tell by the shape of his head, like the rest of them. Yeah, okay, all right. Bro.
We are out of here, guys.